the primary agenda point on the National Republicans' list of priorities is, of course, to be as transphobic as possible. And here is Governor Youngkin on Fox and Friends this morning trying to make that point.
So a couple of things. Are you surprised that kids, the indoctrination's already started, it seems, to have a walkout started by these kids as if having girls play against boys is okay, and pronouns are somehow already intertwined in the curriculum. So you have to undo and give parents back the power to make their decisions. And if they decide, I think it's a great idea for transgender athletes to play with girls, and I think it's a great idea to change pronouns. They can make that decision.
Well, first of all, to begin with, we are having to correct, I think, a big mistake, which was previous policies that excluded parents from these decisions. And so that is a change, and I think it's an important one to make.
Kids want to be in charge still.
Yeah, and kids need their parents. I mean, I actually believe that children should have a right to have their children, their parents involved.
What do you do in a situation if they're too scared to tell their parents because their parents will be against it?
Well, I think they need to trust their parents. And this is a moment where, listen, as you know...
Pause it. Now, look, people are probably confused by hearing this because when they're saying trust the parents, they're only saying trust the parents if the parents don't want the kids to in any way investigate their own gender. If the parents do support the children who may feel like they have been assigned the wrong gender, or if there's any questions about it, in that case, you don't trust the parents.
No.
Just to be clear, this gets a little bit confusing because they make it seem like there's a blanket trust of the parents. Now, of course, what they're talking about, again, is having teachers who are supposedly both indoctrinating students to be supportive of trans people and also have teachers be narcs on students that they observe who may be in any way questioning their gender. So it gets a little bit heady here.
Yeah. Teachers are both groomers and also supposed to be bodyguards in case of a school mass shooting as well, right? They fill multiple roles.
When in fact, we all know they're indoctrinators. They've got their EN-PhD.
And what Youngkin is banking...
Indoctrinating? Okay.
But what they're banking on here is the fact that trans kids and their parents, if they're supportive of them, are going to be outnumbered. And so it's just like a mob mentality, mob rule to make sure that trans kids go back in the closet.
Let's continue to hear Youngkin essentially dress this up, right? I mean, again, this whole argument about parents controlling what their kids, I don't even know what it is that supposedly the parents are supposed to be involved with here. But this is the way they also sell their racism. They sell their racism and their transphobia this way. They make up these lies about what is being taught in school or how nefarious it is that students should be taught about slavery or other things that institutions in this country that have been racially discriminatory. And they just make it about parents having the right to choose whether their kids learn critical race theory. In this instance, it is just transphobia. It is a way to signal to the people in the other half of the state, as opposed to the northern part of Virginia, that he's transphobic, but we're going to dress it up in the clothing of parental rights. Continue.
What do you do in a situation if they're too scared to tell their parents because their parents will be against it?
Well, I think they need to trust their parents. And this is a moment where, listen, as you know more than ever, parents love their children. They've loved them from before they were born. And I have asked students to trust their parents. And this is a moment also where good counseling and a good teacher relationship can help engage with parents. This is a team but parents have to be at the center of it. I also believe that this is a moment for us to step back and recognize that the moment that we begin to push parents out of families, out of decisions around in Virginia, whether they wear masks or not, or whether the materials are appropriate for school, or in these most important decisions in their children's lives, I think we have all of a sudden taken a step so far out of bounds of what family dynamics must be, where parents deeply engaged in their kids' lives. This is a moment for us to step back, and I think, right or wrong, the wrong was to exclude parents from these decisions.
So it's basically saying you can be whatever you want, but your parents will be involved.
Your parents will be involved. Okay. And if your parents, in fact, acknowledge and support an accommodation for you, then the accommodation shall be made. But at the end of the day, it is clear that parents have to be engaged, and kids can't make these decisions.
And you're not going to change because the kids walked out yesterday.
No, and I so respect the First Amendment right that's being,
give me a break. I can't hear this garbage anymore. I mean, to be clear, parents have not been taken out of this. He is basically saying to a child who has grown up with their parents, despite the fact that you may have every reason in the world to believe that your parents cannot accept you as you are, you should trust them anyways. He's not basically saying trust your parents. He's basically saying trust me.
Yeah.
And
obey your parents.
Obey your parents, regardless if they have an issue with what you're. I mean, whether you feel like you're trans or maybe your sexual orientation, whatever it is. And the idea that parents have been taken out of this, that's not the case. There is no book on the law that says can't inform the parents of something.
Yeah. I mean, this is a story that's tried and true, which is that when kids try to express their sexual orientation or their gender identity in a way that maybe their parents are not okay with, it's deeply detrimental to their mental health.
Yep.
And Youngkin is trying to make this normalize it and make it the law of Virginia. And, he's so deeply involved in his kid's life that he tried to get his son to vote illegally twice on his behalf. So perhaps that's the kind of parenting that he's advocating here.